Some people stumble across buried treasure, others find ancient fossils. Jack Donovan? He tripped over a rusted hull in the Nevada desert, and the damn thing greeted him like he owned the place. Some people find arrowheads in the desert. Jack Donovan found a warship. He wasn't looking for one. He was, at best, looking for scrap he could sell for beer money and maybe a new coffee pot. The old one hissed like a dying rattlesnake and produced liquid that tasted like punishment. But Nevada's endless stretch of rock and sand had a habit of coughing up surprises, and that afternoon it coughed up the biggest surprise in recorded human history. Jack noticed it after tripping over a piece of metal sticking out of the sand. It wasn't the usual rusted pickup or abandoned refrigerator. This thing hummed. The more sand he brushed away, the bigger the curve revealed itself to be. Sleek, dark, untouched by time. Not weathered, not cracked. The kind of material you didn't just leave out in the sun. He crouched, brushed more away, and muttered, "Well, you're definitely not from Home Depot." Then the sand shifted under his boots, as if the desert itself had been waiting. A seam split open along the surface, and the ground trembled. Dust plumed skyward, the taste of copper sharp in the air. A voice, clear as day and polite as a maitre d', spoke from the yawning crack in the earth. "Welcome back, Admiral. Systems online. Awaiting your command." Jack froze. He had two possible reactions: panic or sarcasm. He went with sarcasm. "Admiral, huh? Must be mistaking me for someone with a pension." The opening widened. A ramp extended, humming with blue light. The desert wind cut across the metal like a blade, and Jack realized he wasn't looking at a relic. He was looking at something alive, something waiting. "Well," he sighed, "guess I should have packed better coffee." Inside, the air wasn't stale. It was fresh, cool, sterile. Lights flickered on in sequence, leading him deeper, as if the ship had rehearsed this moment for centuries. Panels glowed. Consoles whispered to life. A vast chamber stretched out, its ceiling high enough to swallow a cathedral. Transparent displays projected maps of stars he didn't recognize, tactical overlays, fleet symbols long forgotten by human history. And at the center, a crystalline core pulsed like a heartbeat. "Fleet registry confirms. Admiral Jack Donovan," the AI repeated. 3 centuries since last activity. Protocol Alpha engaged. Jack laughed, the sound bouncing around the chamber. 3 centuries. "Lady, I was barely late paying rent last month." The ship didn't answer his joke. Instead, it lit up new screens. Battle records. Fleet formations. Resource caches buried across continents. A whole military infrastructure hidden beneath the very planet he thought he knew. Jack scratched his jaw. Well, that explains why the property taxes are so high. It wasn't long before he realized he wasn't alone. Above Earth, in the black expanse where satellites blinked and debris spun, something noticed the activation signal. A patrol ship. Alien, angular, its crew divided between arrogance and mild boredom, until their consoles screamed with detection. "The relic is active," one of them hissed. "Impossible. That planet is primitive." "Then how do you explain the signal?" They turned toward Earth, curiosity sharp and unkind. Jack, meanwhile, explored with the casual nerve of a man who'd already lived through too many wars to be surprised by much. The AI guided him patiently. "Shall I awaken support craft? Shall I prepare fleet assets?" "Let's not get ahead of ourselves," Jack muttered. "Last thing I need is the Air Force knocking on my door asking why I parked an aircraft carrier in the backyard." Still, curiosity prickled. He ran his hand over the glowing console, feeling the hum vibrate through his skin. Whoever had built this ship had known exactly what they were doing. The technology wasn't human. At least, not current human. He sat in the captain's chair, because of course there was one. Leather or something like it, still soft, still perfect. The displays wrapped around him, almost affectionate. "Admiral," the AI said, "fleet loyalty is absolute." "Orders." Jack exhaled. "Well, first order, make me coffee that doesn't taste like motor oil." The AI whirred. A compartment slid open beside him, steam curling from a fresh cup. He stared. He took a sip. "Not bad," he admitted. "You might just earn your keep." By the time night fell over the desert, the ship's glow painted the sand in alien blues and silvers. From the outside, it looked like a slumbering beast stretching after centuries. From orbit, the alien patrol watched in mounting unease. That is not primitive behavior. Perhaps they stumbled onto it. Or perhaps the myths were true. They debated sending a ground team. Their leader, smug with superiority, waved a hand. "They are apes. Let them play. We will collect what is ours." None of them noticed Jack reclining in the captain's chair, sipping his AI-made coffee, smiling faintly. The thing about Jack Donovan was simple. He'd spent his life looking ordinary. Neighbors thought he was just a quiet man with bad taste in cars. Bar regulars thought he was just another veteran who laughed too loudly at his own jokes. But beneath that, beneath the faded jeans and desert tan, he was a tactician. A dangerous one. And as he studied the tactical displays now hovering before him, his mind clicked into old patterns like a lock meeting its key. Fleet manifest. Weapons loadouts. Shipyard coordinates. Not random data. A network. A system meant to be reawakened piece by piece. He chuckled softly. 300 years late to the party, huh? Figures. The desert wind howled outside, carrying the scent of dust and silence. Inside, the ship pulsed with life, waiting for his word. The aliens were coming. He didn't know it yet, but part of him suspected. The universe didn't let someone trip into a fleet command ship without consequences. Jack raised the cup in a mock toast to the empty chamber. "All right," he said. "Let's see what kind of mess I just signed up for." The ship answered with a low, resonant hum, like a predator stretching its claws. The desert was quiet, but not for long. By morning, the ship's glow had dimmed to a low thrum, as if conserving strength. Jack stood outside on the ramp, cup of AI-brewed coffee in hand, squinting against the Nevada sun. His boots pressed into sand that still carried faint scorch marks from the ship's awakening. He had company. The first alien shuttle cut across the horizon like a blade of metal. Sleek, triangular, painted in symbols Jack couldn't place. It descended fast, throwing sand into a frenzy as it landed. "Figures," Jack muttered. "Can't even enjoy a second cup before the neighbors drop by." The hatch of the shuttle hissed open. A squad marched out, tall, angular beings with skin that shimmered between bronze and green. Their leader stepped forward, eyes narrow, posture dripping with superiority. "You will vacate this vessel immediately," the alien announced, voice amplified by some device. "It belongs to the civilized." Jack took a slow sip of coffee. "Civilized, huh? Funny way of saying thieves." The alien's lip curled. "This craft predates your species' fumbling history. Step aside, ape." Jack glanced at the ramp behind him. The ship's AI pulsed faintly, as if waiting. He turned back, smiled politely. "See, I'd love to let you rummage around, but she's kind of picky about guests." The alien snapped its fingers. Two soldiers advanced, weapons drawn. The ship reacted before Jack could. A pulse of blue light shot from the ramp, tossing the soldiers back like rag dolls. Their weapons clattered uselessly in the sand. The leader froze, eyes wide. Jack raised his cup in a mock toast. "Told you. She's protective." The aliens regrouped quickly. Their arrogance wasn't gone, but cracks showed. "What are you to this machine?" the leader demanded. Jack shrugged. "According to her? Admiral. According to me? Just a guy who tripped over the wrong rock. The alien hissed, frustrated. This ship cannot recognize you. You lack the bloodlines, the history, Maybe she just likes my charm. Jack grinned, though his eyes never left their weapons. Or maybe you're not as important as you think. The standoff stretched. Desert wind whipped through, carrying silence heavier than words. Finally, Jack broke it. You folks hungry? The aliens blinked. Jack gestured to a battered folding table he'd set up by his pickup. On it, a grill, still cold, and a cooler half buried in sand. Figured since you dropped by uninvited, least I can do is offer lunch. The leader stared, baffled. Lunch. Barbecue. Classic Earth hospitality. We cook dead animals over fire, then argue about sauce. Jack crouched, flicking the grill open. Ritual bonding thing. Builds trust. Or indigestion, depending on who cooks. The soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. The leader hissed, "We do not consume charred flesh." Jack lit the grill anyway. "That's a shame. You're missing out." Smoke curled skyward. He looked up at them, eyes glinting with something sharper than humor. You know, in some cultures, sharing a meal means peace. In others, it means sizing up the competition before the fight. The aliens didn't answer. While the grill heated, Jack leaned casually on his truck. His words stayed friendly, but everyone carried an edge. You want this ship, fine. But she doesn't seem to want you. And I've learned the hard way, you can't force loyalty. Not from people. Not from machines. Not even from pets. The leader snarled. This craft belongs to the Dominion. Hand it over or... The ship's AI cut in, voice smooth as ice. Unauthorized access attempt detected. Threat designation escalated. Panels along the hull shimmered. Turrets unfolded, humming with lethal readiness. The soldiers stepped back. Even the leader faltered. Jack smiled warmly, as though talking to a stubborn neighbor. I wouldn't finish that sentence. She's got a short fuse. Silence again, thicker now. The aliens looked at one another, measuring whether pride was worth dying in the sand. Jack could see it in their eyes. The slow realization that maybe, just maybe, the primitive they mocked wasn't standing here by accident. Finally, the leader spoke, his tone less confident. What are you, human? Jack finished his coffee and set the cup on the ramp. Just someone who doesn't like people poking around his backyard. The aliens retreated to their shuttle. Engines roared, sand exploded, and they vanished into the sky. But the look they'd given him before boarding stayed burned in Jack's mind. Not dismissal. Not arrogance. Fear. Back inside, the ship's AI hummed softly. Admiral. Intrusion repelled. Shall I deploy fleet reinforcements? Jack sank into the captain's chair, shaking his head. Not yet. No need to spook the neighborhood all at once. The displays shifted, showing alerts across Earth. Dozens of dormant systems had stirred at the ship's awakening, signals buried deep, waiting to be heard. Jack rubbed his temples. Great. I trip over one ship, and now I've got a whole scavenger hunt on my hands. Above Earth, the alien patrol wasn't leaving. On their command deck, the soldiers argued. They should not possess such control. The ship must be reclaimed. That human, the vessel obeyed him. Their leader stared at the holographic image of Earth, jaw tight. Then perhaps the legends were not myths after all. Perhaps humanity was never meant to remain buried. Back in the desert, Jack closed his eyes, listening to the steady hum of the ship beneath him. He'd played polite, he'd played neighborly. But in the back of his mind, gears turned. Old instincts, sharpened by wars he never talked about. The aliens would return. Probably with more ships, bigger guns, bigger egos. Jack exhaled, whispering to himself, "And I'll be ready." The ship answered with a low, resonant growl of power, like a predator waking. The desert didn't sleep. By dawn, the ship pulsed again, a low heartbeat buried under Nevada's silence. Jack hadn't slept much either. He sat in the captain's chair, boots propped on the console, staring at the tactical displays as they cycled through data. Coordinates. Hidden caches. Shipyards disguised as mountains. Every new screen made him mutter the same thing, "Hell of a thing to bury under our noses." The AI chimed in, calm as ever. "Admiral, dormant nodes remain scattered across this planet. Shall I initiate reactivation sequence?" Jack drummed his fingers on the armrest. "Define reactivation." "Because if you mean flipping on porch lights, fine. If you mean waking up doomsday toys, I'd like a coffee first." Acknowledged. Brewing. A compartment slid open, steaming cup ready. Jack shook his head. "You're gonna spoil me." He took a sip. Then, because temptation and curiosity were stronger than caution, he leaned forward and tapped one glowing coordinate. The desert shook. Far beneath the earth, a cavern split open. Sand cascaded into darkness as something colossal shifted. A buried hangar lit up, revealing rows of silent fighters that hummed awake, engines glowing. Elsewhere, in the Pacific, an island cracked apart, revealing the sleek hull of a cruiser rising from the ocean, water cascading off its sides. And in orbit, long-dead satellites flared alive, their eyes turning toward Earth like a forgotten legion summoned to attention. Jack watched the displays update, dots multiplying across the map until it looked less like Earth and more like a hornet's nest. He whispered, "Well, I poked the hive." The aliens noticed. On their command ship above Earth, alarms screamed. Multiple activations detected. "They're not isolated relics. This is a coordinated network." "Impossible. Humanity has no such power." The leader silenced them with a sharp gesture. His eyes locked on the expanding display of Earth's awakening defenses. "We underestimated them. Again." He turned sharply. "Dispatch reinforcements. Seize the desert vessel before the chain completes." Back on the ground, Jack stood on the ramp, watching the horizon. His ship had just projected a warning. "Incoming craft." "Great," he muttered. Round 2. Didn't even get breakfast. A shadow streaked across the desert sky. Then another. 5 in total, all larger than the first shuttle, bristling with weapons. The AI's voice was almost cheerful. "Admiral, incoming hostiles. Suggest engagement." Jack sighed. "Always straight to the fireworks. Let's see if they want to talk first." The alien dropships landed in formation, sand billowing around them. This time, their numbers were bigger. Dozens of soldiers, armored and ready. Their commander, a different one from yesterday, stepped forward. His tone wasn't mocking. It was sharp, edged with nervous authority. "You will surrender the vessel immediately. Non-compliance will result in termination." Jack smiled politely. "You folks really don't do small talk, do you? No hello, no handshake, not even a nice weather we're having." The commander bristled. "This is not a negotiation." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Sure sounds like one." The soldiers moved, weapons rising. The warship reacted in kind, turrets unfolding, blue light humming like a growl. Jack didn't flinch. He stepped forward, hands casually in his jacket pockets. "Listen," he said softly, but his voice carried. "Yesterday, I offered barbecue. Today, you're aiming guns at me before sunrise. That's not neighborly. And when neighbors stop being polite," he paused, smile still easy, eyes cold, "things get loud." The commander snarled, raising a hand to signal attack. The ship fired first. A blast of blue energy carved through the desert, precise as a surgeon's cut. The front line of alien soldiers vanished in the glare, leaving nothing but scorched sand. Panic erupted. Soldiers scrambled, shouting in their tongue, weapons discharging wildly against the ship's shield. Sparks lit the sky. Jack didn't move. He leaned against the ramp railing, calm in the storm. "See," he said conversationally, to no one in particular. Told them she was protective. The skirmish escalated. Alien dropships launched missiles, each intercepted mid-air by glowing shields that rippled but held. The warship answered with controlled bursts, crippling engines without destroying entire craft, almost taunting them. Jack finally gave a nod. "All right, show them we're not playing catch." The ship obeyed. 2 turrets swiveled and unleashed beams that sliced through 2 dropships in clean lines. Both crashed in plumes of fire, shaking the desert for miles. The remaining 3 retreated, engines screaming. The battlefield fell silent. Smoke curled into the morning air. Alien bodies and twisted metal littered the sand. Jack exhaled slowly, muttering, "And that's breakfast." The AI spoke, hostiles neutralized. "Shall I pursue the retreating ships?" Jack shook his head. "No. Let them run. Fear's better than ashes." High above, the surviving aliens scrambled for words. "They destroyed half our force in minutes. The vessel, its power eclipses entire fleets. And the human controls it effortlessly." Their leader gripped the console, jaw tight. "Not effortlessly. Naturally. The vessel chose him. That should terrify you." Jack sat back inside, sipping another AI-brewed cup. His pulse was steady, but his mind raced. The fleet wasn't just stirring, it was aligning. The dots on the holographic Earth map were converging into patterns. Defense grids, strategic arcs, planetary strongholds. He'd fought wars before. He recognized formation when he saw it. This wasn't random reactivation. It was orchestration. He muttered, "Somebody planned this. Somebody expected us to wake it up." The AI, sensing his thoughts, spoke. "Admiral, protocols indicate intentional concealment by prior command. Activation was designed to occur only upon recognition of authorized leadership." Jack frowned. So humanity wasn't ignorant. We were waiting. Correct. The weight of that sat heavy in his chest. For centuries, Earth had played weak, hidden, small. But beneath the soil, in oceans and mountains, a fleet had slept. And now it was stretching. Jack tapped the map, watching as more nodes lit up across continents. "Looks like we're done pretending." Above, the alien leader sent a message across the stars. "To all Dominion fleets, the humans are awakening. Prepare for war." Back in the desert, Jack leaned on the console, eyes hard, voice low. "Let them come." The ship hummed in reply, hungry, eager, alive. The desert wasn't quiet anymore. By the second night, Jack barely recognized the sky. Lights streaked upward, not meteors but ships rising from hidden bunkers. What once looked like barren mesas now split open, revealing sleek hangars filled with fighters. Oceans boiled where Titanic cruisers breached the surface, their hulls glowing as if freshly forged. All around the planet, the map filled with pulses of light, each one another piece of the hidden armada. Jack stood at the command dais, hands resting on the rail. "It's not a fleet," he muttered. "It's a world wrapped in steel." The AI's voice followed like a shadow. "Correction, Admiral. Earth is the fleet. These vessels were seeded centuries ago to masquerade as terrain. Humanity has lived upon a fortress without realizing it." Jack gave a sharp laugh. "Guess we finally took the camouflage net off." In orbit, the Dominion fleet had grown fat with reinforcements. Dozens of cruisers, carriers, dreadnoughts blotting the stars. Their commander watched the Earth swell with activity and felt something he hadn't in centuries: unease. "Deploy all forces," he ordered. "Smother their awakening before it spreads." His lieutenants hesitated. "But, Supreme Commander, our scans show billions of signals. Their infrastructure itself is arming." The commander's jaw tightened. "Then drown them in fire." Jack got the warning seconds before the first orbital strike. The AI's voice was sharp, urgent. "Admiral, enemy vessels have initiated bombardment." The desert lit up. Columns of plasma seared down, turning sand into glass. Shock waves rippled for miles. But before the fire could spread, shimmering domes burst upward across continents, planetary shields blooming like invisible flowers. The bombardment splashed uselessly against them. Jack's lips curved into a grin. "Oh, that's cute. They really thought we left the lights off by accident." The warship lifted, engines carving deep craters in the sand. Jack didn't have to steer. The ship moved like a beast finally unleashed. Alien cruisers descended from orbit, weapons glowing, trying to choke Earth before it could fully rouse. Jack tapped the console. Time to wake the neighbors. Cities trembled as skyscrapers split open, revealing concealed launch silos. Rivers parted as hidden platforms rose, bristling with cannons. Even Antarctica shook, revealing titanic engines buried beneath ice, their glow spreading like veins of molten light. Across the globe, humanity stopped pretending to be prey. The first retaliatory volley came from the Pacific. Dozens of submerged warships fired at once, spears of energy ripping upward, impaling a Dominion cruiser that hadn't even finished lining up its weapons. It cracked apart, raining molten debris into the atmosphere. Cheering echoed across human channels, military, civilian, even pirate frequencies. For the first time in history, Earth wasn't watching the sky in fear. It was answering. Inside the flagship, Jack stood calm, one hand on the rail as the ship banked hard, weaving between enemy fire. The comms chimed. A human voice, raw with disbelief. "This is Colonel Alvarez, 3rd Orbital Defense. Who the hell is commanding that desert ship?" Jack smirked. "Name's Jack. Ship calls me Admiral, but I'm more of a guy who trips into trouble." Static crackled, then laughter. "Well, Admiral Jack, whoever you are, you just turned the lights on." "Orders." Jack stared at the tactical holo. Blue dots, Earth's fleet, were multiplying faster than he could count. Red dots, Dominion, clustered like a storm front. He exhaled. "Simple. Don't let them land." Above, the battle erupted into chaos. Dominion dreadnoughts unleashed waves of fighters, black swarms pouring into the sky. Earth's hidden squadrons answered, launching by the thousands, their formations tight, disciplined, hungry. Dogfights lit the upper atmosphere, streaks of fire carving arcs across the stratosphere. The planet itself seemed alive, defensive satellites snapping awake, coordinated volleys tearing through the invading swarms. From orbit, it looked less like a battle and more like a planet hurling knives outward. In the Dominion flagship, panic crept into the command deck. "They outnumber us, on their own homeworld." "Impossible. We scouted them for centuries." "They were livestock." The Supreme Commander roared, silencing them. "They were bait." The word hung like ash. He turned, fury igniting. This was never their weakness. It was their snare. And we stepped into it. Back in the desert ship, Jack caught his reflection in the console glass. He looked tired, older than he felt, but his eyes burned sharp. He keyed the comms again, broadcasting wide. "Listen up, everyone. For centuries they've called us fragile, soft, prey. That's over. This isn't just about Earth, it's about showing them what happens when you mistake quiet for weakness." He paused, voice steady, almost casual. "From this moment on, humanity doesn't hide." The AI's voice whispered approval. "Admiral, the fleet awaits." Jack smiled, Dark and easy. Then let's give them a war worth remembering. The flagship surged upward, breaking atmosphere. The stars exploded with movement, thousands of ships, Earth's true inheritance, locking into formation around him. For 300 years, the Dominion had thought Earth was a backwater, a forgotten rock. Now it was a fortress world waking up angry. The first clash in orbit shook the planet. Dominion cruisers dove, hurling plasma storms. Earth's fleet countered with precision, cutting through their formations like a blade through water. Jack's ship tore into the lead dreadnought, shields flaring against enemy fire. He barked orders, voice level even as chaos surrounded him. Target engines, not hull. Leave wrecks. Fear travels faster than debris. Each shot crippled another Dominion ship, leaving it adrift, a carcass spinning silently. For every Earth ship destroyed, 2 more rose from hidden vaults. The balance had shifted. As firestorms lit the void, the AI murmured almost gently, "Admiral, probability of Dominion retreat, 62% and climbing." Jack's gaze never left the battlefield. Good. But don't just push them back. Make sure they tell stories. In the Dominion flagship, the Supreme Commander gripped the rail, his hands trembling. He'd seen wars collapse before. He knew what was happening. Earth wasn't just surviving. It was announcing itself. And there was nothing more dangerous than a predator pretending to be prey, until it stopped. Jack leaned against the console, calm amid the storm. His voice carried like a knife's edge. "Welcome to Earth, boys. You wanted a quiet world to conquer. Instead, you woke the arsenal." The warship hummed, engines burning bright, as Earth itself roared awake behind him. The trap had closed.